Well, I've always written from a very, very early age. Even some of my earliest memories I have is writing like daft stories on my dad's like kind of old computer. So I almost just remember always having a kind of thirst for it and all that kind of stuff from a very early age. I think when I saw The Office, the UK Office, when I was about 12 years old, I think it was a kind of like a quite a coming of age thing for me. Not only did I think it was a terrifically funny, terrifically like well drawn piece of work, I sort of just was kind of, I think I just sort of helped me understand human life almost in a way. It was that kind of like really powerful piece of art for me at a young age, and I researched into it religiously, researched into the people who made it, Gervais and Merchant, and I saw that they produced it, they wrote it, they were in it, and I thought that's it, and I knew from that point on that that was my goal, and I stopped at nothing to get there, I guess. Yeah, so Half Man is the story about two brothers, Niall Kennedy and Reuben Pallister. Not blood related, but it's as close as you can get. It tracks the story of their life through 3 decades, showing all the love and violence that happens in between. I would never want anyone to take anything from my writing. I think too much in this day and age, you know, a lot of writing and a lot of TV shows, a lot of films, they make it too clear what the meaning is, or they make it too clear what they want you to think. Personally, for me, the best kind of work is the kind of stuff that you take away with questions in your head. You analyze it, you want to talk about it more, you take your own meaning from it. I think some of the best responses you can have after a film or a TV show is, wow, what do you think that TV show was about? And I think that's a really powerful response, something that leaves you questioning and wanting more. So really, I want people to take whatever they need from my television shows. And moreover, I just hope that they enjoy them. I think like writing for TV is very hard. A lot of it's, you know, structure and like long-term storytelling, and there's so much that goes into it. I mean, Baby Reindeer was a one-man monologue that I had to kind of then develop into multiple characters across multiple episodes. But I think what I kept most of all was the heart of the story alive. The monologue had this sort of, I suppose the stage play was quite oscillating and fast paced. I wanted to mirror that in the in the TV show. Even the emails we would project around the stage became emails on black within the TV show, and I kept the essence of what was there. But it's you know, it's hugely challenging, especially if you want to write all of it. Like it's so rare that writers write all of this stuff, and it's a huge undertaking because, you know, you need to long-term plot, and then you can come up with an idea in one episode and have to go back to the start and change all the other episodes, and it's completely all-consuming. But yeah, there's so much. It's almost like a science that goes into TV. Whereas I suppose on the stage you can throw things around with reckless abandon, break all the rules. But with TV, it can fall apart if it's completely lawless. So that, I think, is the fundamental difference. Well, you have to move with your own comfort when you tell uncomfortable stories. I've seen it kind of happen in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival quite a lot. I did a show called Monkey See, Monkey Do in 2016, where I sort of talked about sexual abuse and everything like that. And I was ready at that point to do it, but I'd gone through years and years of processing and struggle before I could speak out. Speaking out was like the only thing that I had left available to me. I think Monkey See, Monkey Do started a trend at Edinburgh for a while, where people would go up and they'd divulge their kind of biggest secrets and their biggest traumas in a way where I'm not sure a lot of them were ready to, and I think it left them with almost more kind of problems than had they not done it. Almost in a way, you got to feel ready, and I think you know fine well when you're pushing against your own natural inclinations as a human being, and if you're pushing against it because I want success and I want something to happen for me, and you're pushing against the feelings of uneasiness or the feelings of terror, then you've got to really ask yourself if it's the healthy thing to do. And if you do it, just make sure you've got a load of protections available for you. I think the biggest protection you can have is some sense of creative protection. You know, like producers that understand you and are interested in bringing your story to life in a way that you see fit. And then, of course, all the kind of mental health support in the world. But I think a lot of people sometimes think like, oh, I have to write truthful, so therefore I need to drudge up all this stuff. It still needs to work within the context of a television show. You still need to make it entertaining. You still need to make it structurally appealing and everything. So I think storytelling or finding your truth isn't necessarily what can I say that's the most sort of vulnerable thing that I can say. It's tapping into something which excites you as a person or moves you, and it's trying to fit that into a television format that is exciting. Yeah, my top writing tips. I think the first one is write from a place of truth, and by truth I mean your truth as a writer. I think a lot of writers anticipate kind of what they think like channels want or what they think people want. But I think ultimately you've got to write a show that's idiosyncratic and authentic to yourself. And I think the second you stop writing from an authentic place and you start to write for exterior goals or for people or ideas just because you want an opportunity, I think you'll find things slipping a little bit. I think as long as you write something that you feel genuinely engaged with, genuinely passionate about, that will see you through. My second tip would be work hard. I mean, I've worked so hard in my life, and I think people think, okay, working hard, what does that really mean? I mean, I put it before almost everything in my life. I'm not sure how healthy that is, but I give it my everything from the moment I wake up to when I go to sleep. And I think, you know, the glass ceiling in this industry to sort of break through is thick and it's impenetrable. And the best way of getting through is to work harder and faster than anyone around you. And I think if you work hard and you deliver on time or deliver early, I mean, I've always gone out my way to deliver things as early as possible, then people realize how serious you are and they take you seriously as a prospect and as a writer. So work hard, write stuff that's authentic to you. What would the other one be? I want to give free. Take risks, I would say. I think I've taken a lot of risks in my life. I think Half Man is probably quite a big risk in a lot of ways. I could have done a lot of things after Baby Reindeer, got a lot of offers. Instead, I took all the hype that I generated from Baby Reindeer and I gambled it back on myself. And I think that's what it's all about. Every single time I've tested myself, I've gone out my comfort zone, I've done one of my crazier ideas. It's always richly rewarded me in a lot of ways. And I think sometimes when you step out your comfort zone, your brain conjures kind of terrific ideas in fight or flight in a way. And I think every time, you know, don't be afraid to challenge yourself and put yourself in an uncomfortable zone, because I think it can yield good creativity and good results. And I think at the heart of any good idea is a great risk. And so work hard, take risks, and write stuff that's true to yourself. I never know. I can't say that something has stuck out. I mean, there's stuff that's sort of people I respect and admire have said. I remember like Shane MacGowan saying to be a good musician, you have to put it before everything. And I remember, it's not necessarily that I took that advice and I took it into my own life, but I remember whilst, you know, scrapping about and being ambitious as possible and really just clawing my way up by working as hard as I possibly could. I remember seeing that and thinking, wow, I feel like I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely putting this writing stuff before everything else in my life. In a weird way, I self-flagellating though it may be, I do think it's good advice. I think like, it's probably one of the most competitive industries on the planet, if not the most competitive. And I think to be a good writer, you have to be prepared to let it take over your life almost in a way. If I was stranded on a desert island and I had to pick 3 TV series to take with me, I would take the UK Office. I would take The Wire. Oh, I think The Wire is phenomenal, like piece of sort of I just remember like not only just the individual characters, the world, everything. The fact that over 5 seasons it kind of changes its setting in a lot of ways. I thought that was always really interesting. Like one, we had the docks, and then we had the sort of the streets, and you know, the one that was all about the media, the print media. And I just think the way it kind of zooms out and kind of tries to encapsulate not just city life, but kind of broad spectrum of American life, I think it's a real feat of sort of storytelling. It's sprawlingly ambitious and achieves all of its aims. You know, it's one of those things where I often think like if the aliens kind of sort of got in touch to say, can you send us something from the UK to let us know what the UK people are like? You'd send them the UK office, I think, you know. And then I think, you know, with the US, you'd possibly send The Wire. It shows everything from government all the way down to people on the streets, to the racial divides, the kind of drug wars, you know, and even just like difficult interpersonal relationships. It achieves so much. And then I guess the third is either Mad Men or The Sopranos. Oh, that's a tricky one. That's a real tricky one. Maybe Mad Men. Oh, that's hard to say, but I'd say Mad Men. Again, just incredible storytelling. You know, the way that it plays with time and the way that it kind of arrests you within a chronology of world events that were happening at the time. I just thought was so smart. Characters perfectly well drawn, amazing twists and turns, amazing humor, perfect dialogue, really great production design. Again, just like really ambitious, rewarding long term storytelling.